Number 3 alarm fire rips through Ngau Tau Kok storage facility. Top Marine Department official jailed for 16 months for misconduct. And video shows Wukong village chief confessed to taking bribes.
Good evening. Firefighters are battling a number 3 alarm blaze that broke out at a storage facility in Ngau Tau Kok. That fire, which began this morning, has now been raging for more than 8 hours. At least 4 firefighters have been injured. Caleb Leung has more.
The blaze started in a storage company. It is located on the 3rd floor of an industrial building on Ngau Tau Kok Road. The fire began at around 11 this morning. It was upgraded to number 3 alarm more than an hour later. Firefighters rushed to the scene to battle the blaze. A number of them fell ill after inhaling smoke. They were treated at the scene before being taken to hospital for treatment. Although smoke is billowing out from the building to this nearby bridge, crowds of people are still gathering on the bridge to watch the firefighters put out the blaze. All lanes of Ngau Tau Kok Road and part of Kwun Tong Road near Tadpole Garden were closed because of the fire.
We encountered some difficulties due to the large area on the 3rd floor, the entire 3rd floor. Over 200 mini stores, all the stores were locked up by the occupiers.
Firefighters also said their operation has been hampered by high temperatures at the scene. Caleb Leung, TVB News.
A Marine Department assistant director has been sentenced to 16 months in jail for misconduct. The court heard So-Ping Chi failed to implement children's life jacket rules on vessels. Winna Wong has the details.
So-Ping Chi arrived at the district court this morning to learn his fate. The suspended Marine Department assistant director was earlier convicted of 1 count of misconduct in public office. He's one of the highest-ranking government officials to be found guilty of wrongdoing in a case that stemmed from the 2012 Lama Ferry disaster. The collision between 2 ferries left 39 people dead, including 8 children. After the tragedy, investigations found that between April 2007 and March 2013, So ordered department staff to ignore children's life jacket laws. During that time, So was in charge of inspecting vessels. The minimum life jacket rule, in effect since 2007, says vessels must provide the same number of life jackets as the number of passengers they carry. And the amount of children's life jackets available should be 5% of the total number of passengers. Explaining his sentence, Judge Douglas Yao said today the damage done by So is serious and far-reaching, and therefore he must serve an immediate jail sentence. Yao added So's actions must have shocked the public, as Hong Kong civil servants are known around the world for their integrity and efficiency. But So had ignored regulations to appease the shipping industry. The judge believes So's misconduct eroded the public's trust in the Marine Department and even the entire civil service, and time would be needed for the trust to be regained. Yao added that So could have made changes to the practice known as old vessels follow old law, new vessels follow new law, but failed to do so. Winna Wong, TVB News.
Still no end in sight to the controversy over the arrest of the Wukong village chief in Guangdong province. Authorities have released a video purportedly showing Lin Zuluan admitted to accepting bribes. But as Evelina Leung reports, Lin's wife says she doesn't believe her husband is guilty.
Last night, Xinhua News Agency published an article saying Lin Zuluan accepted numerous bribes. And today, the Southern Daily newspaper reported the Shanwei government held a press conference and played a video clip that showed Lin admitting to taking bribes. In the clip, Lin admitted he is not familiar with the law and he accepted kickbacks over a wide range of projects. He said he also pocketed when the village bought properties. This, Lin announced in the video, was his biggest crime. Authorities said Lin has been stripped of his party secretary position. They also accused 2 Hong Kong media outlets of inciting, planning and directing the Wukang village protests. Back in Wukang village, Lin's wife said she doesn't believe that her husband took bribes. She accused the authorities of forcing her husband to confess. She also said no officials told them that Lin had admitted to taking bribes, and they only learned of this from the news. Meanwhile, tensions continued to rise at Wukang village as residents took turns to guard the entrance in an apparent attempt to prevent authorities from taking away Lin's family members. Residents staged another protest in the village today. Led by students, the protesters demanded the release of Lin and that authorities solve the illegal land grab problem. Evelyn Lang, TVB News.
Hong Kong's richest man, Li Ka-shing, has voiced support for Britain to stay in the European Union. The man who leads the Chung Kong business empire said in an interview that if Britain leaves the EU, it would have a negative impact on British and European economies. But he did admit it's not the end of the world. Li also said his group is still expanding its business in Europe. Brexit or Remain? That is the question captivating Britain as the referendum to stay in or leave the EU goes to the wires. Diana Lynn is in the UK to report on developments. We start with a basic argument to stay in the EU, stemming migration.
27-year-old Nick hails from Latvia, an EU member country where he worked as a chef.
Because the situation in my country is not so good, I can't earn a lot of money.
Due to the EU's free movement agreement, Nick was able to come to London 6 months ago. He found a job in a noodle restaurant as a kitchen help, working over 10 hours a day, making the equivalent of 20,000 Hong Kong dollars a month.
I don't want to go back home. I'm fine here. Even here I'm doing not the best job, but I have enough money to pay my rent and I have enough money for myself. I can earn more money with my hands, so I don't need any benefits.
3 million people like Nick across the EU have come to live and work in Britain, making up 5% of the country's population. They're entitled to medical, housing and welfare benefits, aggravating fears of depleting resources.
To stop people coming for benefits, our country is so overcrowded.
Yes, it is a problem, but hopefully, they'll do something about it if we remain.
Since last year, the influx into the EU of hordes of refugees from the troubled Middle East and from Northern Africa, as well as Turkey's application for EU membership, have exacerbated immigrant phobia in Britain. But many believe migrants have vital contributions.
We need young people, especially in our economy, because our population, like most Western populations, is 25% of older people over 60. Most of our welfare payments go for the elderly. If we have a reduced labour market, it will be harder for people to make jobs and to increase productivity in the economy.
Dighton also notes the migrant problem can be relieved if Britain tightens welfare policies. To persuade Britain to remain, the European Union has agreed that Britain would have the right to compel its immigrants to work for at least 4 years before they would be allowed to apply for social welfare. The rule would be restricted to new immigrants. Diana Lynn, TVB News, Oxford, England.
Staying in Britain, the House of Commons has paid tribute to the life of lawmaker Joe Cox. The Labour and pro-EU MP was shot and stabbed to death last week while on her way to a constituency meeting in northern England. James Aiken has that story.
In a rare, specially convened parliamentary session, the 41-year-old mother of 2 was remembered as a dedicated politician and caring colleague.
Above all, she was filled with and fueled by love for humanity. Devoted to her family and a relentless campaigner for equality, human rights, and social justice.
For in remembering Jo, we show today what she said in this House to be true, and I know it'll be quoted many times today. We are far more united and have far more in common with each other than things that divide us.
The killing of Cox, who was a vocal supporter of EU membership, prompted a 3-day halt to campaigning in the referendum. 52-year-old Thomas Mayer has been charged in connection with her murder.
Her community and the whole country has been united in grief and united in rejecting the well of hatred that killed her in what increasingly appears to have been an act of extreme political violence.
Following the tribute, lawmakers attended a memorial service at nearby St. Margaret's Church. Tomorrow, on what would have been her 42nd birthday, celebrations of Cox's life are set to be held in cities around the world. James Aiken, TVB News.
There are fresh jitters in the region as it appears North Korea has moved an intermediate-range missile in position to launch from its east coast. Tension's been high since Pyongyang conducted its 4th nuclear test in January. They followed that up with a satellite launch and several test launches. But according to media reports in South Korea, there are no imminent signs of a launch by the North. Tokyo has put its anti-ballistic forces on alert with orders to shoot down any projectile headed for Japan. And Seoul said any launch would be in violation of UN resolutions and in defiance of repeated warnings from the international community.
Heavy rains have pounded southern Japan, causing floods and several landslides. At least 4 deaths have been reported. Kumamoto Prefecture was the hardest hit area. Reports say 2 others are missing. The same area was rocked by a magnitude 6.5 earthquake on April 14th, followed by a magnitude 7.3 tremor 2 days later.
Still to come in the broadcast tonight, still no consensus as retirement protection consultation draws to a close. Gun control attempts fail in the U.S. Senate. And the Three Lions, not impressive, but still managed to advance in Euro 2016.